You are watching Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswati.
Hello and welcome. A beautiful day once indeed. First, one would say one of the best shows we're going to have for the first month of September. The date today is the 7th of September. The year is 2020. Hello and welcome. The day where it's a public holiday in the Kingdom of Eswatini, where we are celebrating, one should say, Independence Day. That was actually a day that we will always remember in the Kingdom of Eswatini. On this day, obviously, in as much as it is Independence Day, sporting activities that do continue in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Over the weekend, activities were there. We'll look at what was happening, of course, with the Eswatini Tennis Association having a strategic meeting to look at what to do in the next 4 years, what is going to happen with the association pertaining to some of the courts, such as wheelchair tennis. We'll look at that. We will move on to other sporting courts. Pool activities also were ongoing. We'll also touch on the monthly mark, SRAC monthly mark for the month of July. It was being played at the Mbabane Golf Club with, of course, Sandile Konko being the champions over the weekend. We'll also look at the new innovation that was brought in by the Mbabane Golf Club. Otherwise, we'll also touch on tech ball. Football players, knowing that football is not coming anytime soon, they're using tech ball as a way to boost their fitness. In-house, Linda Dlamini will be in the studio also to tell us about that. Otherwise, internationally, Djokovic, in a funny way, he's out of the tournament, disqualified after actually hitting the ball with one of the judges. International, of course, in Egypt, the trophy is still missing. We'll hear how it went to be at the level it is today, to talk about the trophy missing after Egypt won it 3 times from 2006 up to 2010. To bring all those details, I'm in the company of in-house analyst Linda Dlamini. Nguvusele Ngosi.
Ngiyavusela Fabrice, nguvusele bese ngithuba lokukhulu. Nguvusele ma-loyal viewers ekhaya. Li holiday njengoba soshilo ukuthi langa la ndiphethe.
True.
1968. But awukhumbula labadzala ngiyabacoceka bomkhulu nabogogo. Ukuthi injabulo eMaswatini beyinganani kwatisa ukuthi libuyile live leMaswati
52 years ago.
52 years ago. One of our colleagues in South Africa bekacocena is one of bamvula sebacishe bangale kwa 60 years bekasho ukuthi every time bekuthiwa kangwane. I'm happy selabuya naligama Eswatini. Siyajabula nje Fabrice sithi happy Independence Day konke eMaswati.
And of course, if you're joining us on different platforms, being your YouTube, do not, of course, forget to subscribe and be part of this discussion, and always make sure that you get updates. Otherwise, for those who are watching on Skujan, stay tight. It's going to be a lovely show. Now, I mean, over the weekend, as much as very holiday, but activities were still ongoing. Sibonile tennis, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, they had their annually general meeting where they had something to show us. But maybe just for the viewer who just joined us, for knowing what is to see about this evening, what do you want to see that will be taking place for the upcoming 58 or 57 minutes. So take a look at this short montage of the activities over the weekend. Beautiful stuff, of course, that took place over the weekend. From the moment you saw pictures all the way from pool, tech ball, golf, and other activities, of course, that took place over the weekend. Now, I mean, when we started, we were highlighting the issue of tennis. Tennis, of course, having had the annual general meeting about 2 to 3 weeks ago, this weekend was high time to introduce the members of the new committee, of course, headed by Maxwell Jerry, and also to look at some of the strategic plans to work on in the next 4 years. I mean, miss about 2 to 3 weeks ago, it's one of lama associations that now the meeting was mostly to look at going forward, what should they focus on. This is something other sporting codes, they should take in consideration. We barely hear other associations with a strategic meeting. What a way to move forward.
Fabrice, mhlambe vele emalwel viewers atakhumbula ukuthi about 3 weeks ago sakhuluma naye the new elected president labe sangena ku second term. Yena Maxwell Jele. Lengicabanga ukuthi Fabrice nyalo seba betena strategic plan bakhuluma ukuthi kahle kahle bafuna ukuplanana ku the next 4 years labatabe base office ngayo bakhulumile ke ngetimbi incumbi Fabrice indzaba lenkulu kakhulu labakhulume ngayo wheelchair tennis lengicabanga ukuthi inika wonke umuntu ulithuba nalo khubatekile ukuthi ayidlale umdlalo tennis sachaza ke vele even nasikhuluma naye the president kuzi even nakulala amanye mave sayesikubone bakwenda lokho and bayadlala ba successful. So ngicabanga ukuthi nayo association yala kithi kangwane bakufakile lokho bakubukete
asisibuka lethi Thombe Master ubuka bo ngaba Mkhaliphi the secretary general representing themselves. Another issue they touched on Master lemvu yokungetheka kwamachimba. I think ngale khona kwanyalo Master, the clubs that we have, your correctional, your all the clubs we have within the tennis industry, they are within Manzini Mbabane corridor. So bazama ukuthi at least bashonele imangweni nakhona kutholakala ama clubs.
Yes Fabrice, lenye indzaba lenkulu kakhulu ngiloko ukuthi siyathi ukuthi under i-tennis association there are only 10 clubs. So bathi nyalo bafuna kuthatha yonke lemidlalo bayisabalalise nelive lonke lokusho ukuthi iya emaphandleni hayi nje ukuthi ibe lamadolobheni Manzini Mbabane corridor, because I want to believe ukuthi bakhona ema superstars la khona le lafihlekile emaphandleni. So ngicabanga ukuthi lenye indlela taloko ukuthi bazame ukusebenzisa lama courts la khona lemaphandleni, because akhona ema courts la khona mina nje ngabekisa la ngikhulele khona bengikhulele phasa enkundla yasesandleni ikhona i-court lengasebenza ezi basketball court, lengasebenza ezi tennis court enkundleni yasesandleni vindo lenkundla sehlukaniswa kwaba nesandleni kwaba na kumethula. So ngicabanga ukuthi dinenge letindzawo letingayiswa khona lemidlalo tennis akhule lama clubs angabi 10 kuphela.
I think one of the issues that also they touched on in the issue of the clubs is to say most of the competitions now nasi sikhuluma ngama competition ye tennis adlalelwa la eLobamba kule tennis center. So I think the clubs were suggesting ukuthi can also their attention be seen in those regions as this time around nangabe kune tournament asesiyibona idlalelwa eShiselweni kuze ukuthi at least nalabo bafisile ukuthi bafunze lo mdlalo bayibone idlala la within the Shiselweni region.
Ngicabanga ukuthi yes vele liphuzulelo njengoba sengishilo ukuthi ungacabanga wena ukuthi bamvu isports abasithanzi kani ngilokuthi kude abasiko exposed kuleso sport leso. Ngicabanga nje ukuthi dinenge letindzawo nawukhupha kuya ngala kubuhleni baningi bandi population iyakhula lapho and let developa lendzawo if bangathatha bayise lapho ukhuluma ngabonhlangano if thatho le umdlalo lo iso bonhlangano sibonile ke bomangayane basukumisa bo netball basukumisa bo pool so ngicaba ukuthi leto indzawo leto tine bamvula abanengi labafuna ukudlala labawubukela kona lama sports lengicaba ukuthi banayi interest kuwo but kude lama teams noma letindzawo labangajima khona.
They have it, and of course that will be what was happening over the weekend. Otherwise, we keep a close eye to what will be happening with the association, tennis association, of course, as we also highlighted. Gutsi Master, they were welcoming some of the new members of the committee, including of course the two members who were serving the last committee, being Maxwell Jere and Ngabam Karipe, and of course working with the new committee. So we keep a close eye to understand. Yes, Master.
But in Jeff President ngicaba ukuthi lokunye I tennis association lengakusho lengakwenda loku isazama ukuyisa lo mdlalo lemakhaya kukhona nakuloku ngiyakhohlwa igama lokho ngesingisi but uyagoqa lokwe le court uyakwakha unawufika le ungidlale bese sona sohamba phenza ukugoqe ngicaba ukuthi bangakhona ukuthi bakwende bahambe ba promote le midlalo more especially etikolweni if banga introduce le midlalo etikolweni kube ne school sports competition ya tennis then ngicaba ukuthi ingaba nelisasasa lelikhulu kakhulu but asele involve bahambe bayise letikolweni.
I see what you're saying. I'm also thinking about the same word. Sorry, but the word is not coming as fast as we expected, but I see what you're saying, and I think the viewer also is getting what you're trying to say about the sport that can accommodate almost the sporting code within the same area. Kulmenge netball, basketball, tennis, but at the end ufa luhambe. Wow, there you have it. Now, tennis was not only sporting code that was engaging the right gear. When you look at also the Mbabane Golf Club, lovers of the golf activities, of course, were gathered at the Mbabane Golf Club where they were playing the Eswatini Royal Insurance Corporation monthly mark. Now, when we highlighted this, I think we've been getting questions to say it's in the month of September. How are they playing a monthly mark of July? Now, when sporting activities resumed, by the time it resumed, it was back in July. What was happening is that the sport itself, most of the competition within the golf fraternity, they decided to backdate their competition to say when they stopped, maybe they were playing the May monthly mark. That's how it was. So they decided to say even if it's in July, they can still play the monthly mark of May. Now in July, they go to September. It's now that we are playing the monthly mark for July. So they are backdating to some of the tournaments they didn't play during COVID-19.
Absolutely. Uteka yona Fabrice indzaba yaye eGaluva eBabane Club. Ba la emakhona sake sachaza lokuthi la emakhona babuyele khona ke ngemuva ukuthi batodlala tonke letinyanga leti labe sokhona imidlalo but eMbabane Club betene innovation lensha lendzaba ke COVID lengicaba ukuthi iMbabane ihlale imangalisa abantu beFabrice sonke isikhathi dibatana netimvo letisha siyakhumbula ngesikhathi seCovid imagems angekho bokhedi babanika tiphu sakuvumisa kakhulu and
that's if I'm not mistaken that's a filmness also
yes.
On the touch screen on the course yes.
Naile nakhuza le shala introduce le technology le shala introduce eMbabane Club le bhola nayita ungena lapha ekhathi there is no need ukuthi ufake isandla uyithathe ngicabanga nje ukuthi idinvo vele
sibuke umsandile cocolo utayifaka ekhathi sibuke ukuthi utayithatha kanjani
sihamba ngetechnology Fabrice ku 2022 siyakhona akudzinga ukuthi ibhola uzo uyibambe because phela sezama solo kuzanywa ngato tonke indlela ukuthi iCovid singazami kuthelelana so le bhola nayingenile lapha uvele nje wena uphakamise kancane lokhu wendvuku lapha emgodzini bese kuyaphakamisela le bhola kona uthathe ibhola yakho ucubeke nekudlala.
Beautiful stuff. Of course, as we can see, technology. One way, of course, one would say is to work hand in hand with government as they try to work on the spread of the COVID-19. Now, maybe to get more details of this new innovation that Master just highlighted of how golfers now are collecting the ball all the way from down where it ends, we'll be hearing from ladies captain at the Mbabane Golf Club, Fiswe Vilane. More details coming from her.
Thank you very much. Ngekubambisana na hulumende wakangwane in terms of controlling the spread of COVID-19. Mbabane Golf Club, we took a decision to make certain investments to also support or maybe to minimize the infection rate as well as to protect our members la Tago atodlala la eMbabane Golf Club. And one of those has been to actually get lama devices or the equipment lekhona la emaflegini kuthi manje ke uma ngabe ama golfers ibhola yakhe ingena emgodini angathinzi ngesandla ukuthi angene athinze la bekuthinze khona la labanye. So basically they just using their clubs, they can actually take the ball out of umgodi and walk away, so there is no need for any touching in terms of hands or the pin as well loko ukuthi iphume la mgodini. So our golfers are parting with the pin in, and then mabaqetsako bakhona ukuthi manje ke bakhokhe ngema clubs bachubeke bahambe, so their hands are kept clean at all times. Got very cooperative members ngibonge nje kakhulu in terms of my members ethu. Obviously it's an adjustment, it's not something that was there before, so we had to announce beforehand and educate ama golfers lokho ukuthi sikwendelani. As a result, it's been well received, they've been very supportive. Sisengakeva nje tindzaba tema violations, I adjustment yes, but ke nabo bayabona ukuthi siyazama lokho ukuthi maybe siphucuke siye embili.
In terms of golf play, sabona ukuthi le innovation in loots lelaceleni nalo laceleni kwalelinye loots.
Yes.
Does that give an advantage ukuthi ngabe phela ibhola seyendlulile lapha kulomgodi, but now tawusha le loots ingene ekhaya?
There are many theories, however we have not bought something that is not being used elsewhere. I think we have also learned best practice from courses that are in South Africa and even beyond South Africa. So this is an innovation that is already there in terms of the game, which means, and we believe it does not give any unfair advantage to anyone. I guess if it helps a golfer, yes, maybe it's their chance to be assisted. However, we do not believe that it actually compromises or even gives unfair advantage to any of our golfers.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
About that. That is, of course, Fiswe Vilani. That is Mbabane Club golf captain who's explaining about the new technology. But Master, it doesn't have any effect on how results might be, because there are chances which maybe ubakona what the technology might at some point work in your advantage as a golfer. And then I think another question that I had, maybe I was answered, is to say it's not the first of its kind. Gwendi was somewhere else especially in the Republic of South Africa. What did you take of that, Master?
Yes, uyakhuluma yena Fisiwe akafuni kuvuma vele ukuthi advantage ikhona, but ngicabanga ukuthi le advantage itaba khonyana kancane because ikhona lendvuku lapha ekhathi and nawushaya le bhola there's no way lapho khona itayivimba le bhola vele ivimbe la mgodini. So ngicabanga ukuthi iadvantage lencane ikhona kuyenteka lesinye isikhathi uthi ushaya le bhola ingangeni la mgodini njengoba ubona nje lapha ifike iyema iyatimela imali mgodini.
But ushose sibala ukuthi beyingenile already.
Yes, ingenile.
But what if it was on a high speed?
Lesinye isikhathi Fabrice uyayothi ayishaya igegeletele lomgodi latula igegeletele lomgodi igcina ingangeni. But ngicabanga kuba khona kwako say advantage for some of ema golfers lata khona ka just kahle speed ne force.
Wow, beautiful things, of course, beautiful pictures all the way from Mbabane Golf Course. It was a sunny Sunday, of course, golfers in a sharp and a very conducive mood. Now, the next move, of course, Master Singasho, it will be to go find out from the golfers. I want to believe anytime soon the monthly mark for the month of August should start. So we're going to hear from the golfers, if maybe, of course, the technology will be there to say, does this technology put them in a higher advantage to get good results? I think over the weekend by experience but does it put them in another advantage position to win the games? They will tell us that next week. Of course, we'll get more details coming from them. Now, over the weekend, of course, we're talking about that competition. Having talked about the new innovation that was there, let's talk about the competition itself now, where the tournament, Master Singasho, was dominated mostly by policies. One would say, not to say they're not supposed to be dominate, but this time around, seemingly, they seem to have brought their A game in on the day. What did you take note of that? In as much as people like Sandile Xhoxho ended up being the champions, but Nobuga overall they dominated Mapoisa.
Uteka yona Fabrice vele sibonile ukuthi ngeweekend cishe base umbuthweni weTechPep emaphoyisa but dominated kakhulu ukhuluma ngasiboniso wasimelane as a police officer ukhulume ngayena Sandile Xhoxho logcine awina naye police officer and yena Mike Zwane naye former police officer so ngicabanga ukuthi this time around bakhombisile ukuthi batimisele kanganani so ngicabanga nje ukuthi yinvo lenhle nami yes that's Xhoxho yena Sandile Xhoxho lagcina awina le monthly mark ya July because bekudlalwa imonthly mark ya July sesishilo ukuthi balandzela kuleti nyanga slowly but surely batagcina bafike because nyalo sesiqale September baselelwe ngoAugust kuphela ukuthi badlale yena then bafika kuSeptember ngicabanga ukuthi sebazamile ukuphusha leti nyanga sebatikhanzile in fact because sekuselenye kuphela.
Now having of course won the tournament that is Sandile Xhoxho after quite some time, not to say that this is the first time he is the champions of the monthly mark. He has been the champions prior, but this was after a long time. He was quite happy, and you talked to our production team realizing that his own secret was to kick off early in the morning, to tee off early in the morning with a high potential. This is Sandile Xhoxho.
Ngitiva ngijabule kakhulu Taribo kuwina after a long time ngagcina kuyiwina lenkomishi lena. It makes me feel very good.
Looking at the fact ukuthi bekune morning field ne afternoon field ngabe kudlala ekseni kube kuneta advantage in la crossing noma
kudlala ekseni ngekubuka lelanga la namuhla Taribo mina ngicabanga ukuthi kunginikete iadvantage because lama conditions were not the same. Ekseni I observed lokuthi lo moya was not blowing like the way beso blowa ngawo in the afternoon. So ngicabanga ukuthi kudlala ekseni for me it was a blessing, hence my score saba sihle kakhulu.
Are you looking forward to defending your championship next month?
Nembala ngibuka phambili vele ukuthi ngidayizama kuyidefender, although igolf may not be a sports long as predictor because ngendeka uthi nango sikuhlolele sikwendele but I'm looking forward for the next August edition ukuthi ngidakhona kuyidefender lengomisha.
All the best Sabo.
Thank you very much sir.
Thank you.
That is, of course, Sandile Xhoxho, the champions of the monthly mark for the month of July. Master, we are talking about early hours of the morning was a bit of an advantage. Looking at the weather condition, the absence of Lomoya, would see Nigoro Kumsitri at the end of the day at Hamburg. Would see when why we Galufe from morning at Tin Zambam, I'm sure of that. Have you seen that working in an advantage of a player at some point? Would see Lendera Ulanenga Exene, if you get an Zambam, so Utsunuam Bembi Mtrambe would see Exene, Botimisire. And all those details.
There's a lot Fabrice. In fact, weather vele ya contributor kakhulu ku sport. Lokufaka ikhathi yona igaluva ngicabanga ukuthi it's idaliana kumanti la phasi or kunemoya siyathi ke ukuthi most of the time uthole ukuthi ekseni sesepholile and umuvu usuka sesene energy lenkulu kakhulu but ke ngekuhamba kwesikhathi uyothola ukuthi ilanga seliphakeme noma sekunemoya tonke letinvo leto vele kuya contributor kakhulu simvile nje naye Xhoxho ukuthi ukhulumile wakuvela ukuthi wadlala kahle ekseni but ngekuhamba kwesikhathi ngicabanga ukuthi kwabe sesi performance yakhe siyashintsha lokwenda ukuthi icishe onke lama sports ukhuluma ngayo igwaluva ukhuluma ngabo nangematubane labanye abantu ukuthi imidlalo once umoya waba mnengi then we are affected because dine ngiletimvo letingendeki even nabo cricket nalaphasi kule on the greens la egaluveni njoba sengishilo ukuthi nangabe kumanti kakhulu nakhona lapho kunemthelela yakhona kukhuluma ngabo cricket sengishilo nakhona lapho laphasi la kufike kuhlale khona le bhola kunemthelela
and of course tips that that Mbabane Golf Club should give to Manzini Golf Club master. Nasikhuluma last week sikhulume ngale cause yasemanzini ukuthi ayisiyo lesikahle bakhalenge winter kanti siyathi ukuthi na ukhuluma ngewinter Mbabane iye iba affected than Manzini.
Yeah, Mbabane kubanza kakhulu
than Manzini. So the facts mama facts ngasho ukuthi ayangeteka ukuthi why now Manzini should really take care of their cause. Wasibaqala master what
banalo dam lapho khona manje angathathwa khona aniselwe ngicaba ukuthi bayafunza nabo batawufunza eMbabane sekunqonywana nakhona sibonile ukuthi nakusesena lesithwathwa vele cishe bebushile lo tshani but kusheshe kwa recovereka than lesakubona kaManzini.
And of course beautiful things coming all the way from Mbabane Golf Club. These are some of the activities that are taking place in the Kingdom of Eswatini, knowing that government has only allowed about 10 sporting codes to proceed. So some of them are not active. When you talk about shooting, they have postponed their activities to next year. You're talking about some of the tournaments like cycling. They are waiting to have yet their first event. So the busiest one currently, it's pool, it's your golf, it's other activities. This is one way maybe to explain to a viewer why mostly they would dominate these guys.
So sorry to cut you, Fabrice. Ngicabanga semkhumbula leligama lale bengusho lo we tennis ukuthi bangakusebenzisa court flex because anze ku flexible uyakhona ukugoca in fact kudlalela I volleyball khona kudlalela I basketball khona kudlalela I tennis so le court flex ngiyo lele bengisho ukuthi bangakusebenzisa bahambe bayinako lemakhaya.
There you have it. That is another meaning. Why you have him in the studio is because you live as a learned viewer and you get to hear everything about him, everything about the sporting activity. Now, moving on. Pool was also taking center stage in some of the parts of the country, knowing that now correctional this season, this year, this tournament, this league, they seem to be a team to watch. Last week we were talking to Flak Ngumalo about the ambitions they are getting from the big bosses, from the Patsele team would see this year they should take the league. Correctional Masters we look at the league table later on, but over the weekend activities were still ongoing for Pool.
Yes, imidlalo beyiqhubeka Fabrice yePool siyakhumbula ukuthi vele ileague yabe yaqhubeka and iyangase ngasho khona ukuthi imnanzi ileague yePool now ungakazo waya unfortunately emafenza wakavumele ukuthi awubukela they can only rely on their number 1 TV channel lekhona la local ngicaba ukuthi I-correctional isofa isahamba phambili ya leader nga 11 points and uyabona vele ukuthi le order bayitholile then ikulandzele mangayane ngiyo lelandzela ngemuva nabo ngeke ngasho before ngathi this season beta kabi kakhulu labasemangayane and ngicaba ngithi bona because uyakhumbula ukuthi I-home ground yabo lengasho ukuthi home ground mabom ivaliwe le cause ngilakuthengiswa khona tshwala le mangayane so ngicabanga ukuthi bongabuka ukuthi some of le team but are affected but nako bayalandzela yes nalokutitshela cause nangabe utawulandzela I-team le njengayo I-correctional ngicabanga ukuthi usuke udlala kahle kakhulu badlala ke Fabrice badlala eMlanvo restaurant just after nawudlula emawelawela cause njengoba sengishilo ukuthi emangayane indzawo khona lapho khona kuthengiswa khona tshwala so akuvaliwe so lapha eMlanvo restaurant kuvumelekile ikhona lelitafula bahambile bayithola imvumo badlala khona bawina.
And of course, terms and conditions, different regulations pertaining to COVID-19 are being followed. Stays Pool team, another team that has been in the league for quite some time with experience. Master, COVID-19, yes, corner, but now look at the terms and conditions. This picture was taken with the players not noticing at some point, but look at the distance amongst themselves and look at all of them mask on.
Ngicabanga ukuthi lo mthetho in fact onke lama officials asiyinike credit yona I-Pool Association benda show ukuthi every game every match lapho kudlalelwa khona lendzawo benda show ukuthi emafastelo ayavulwa ba sanitize abadlali before ema mask afakiwe and nazo social distancing uyabona nje ukuthi akusiyo ngalendlela lesijwayele ngayo vele ukuthi ipolice yathi ukuthi nangabe kudlalwa kuleti indzawo leti busy uyithole abantu bahlangene but inyalo ngicabanga ukuthi bakwenta kahle konke lemigomo bakhombisa nje ukuthi bayabonga kuhulumende ngendlela labenda ngayo ukuthi wabavumela ukuthi ababuye badlale.
Master utsinza indzawo yasemangaya ukuthi kwanyalo bethe indzawo ngalokuthi vele lenzawo sebayivala ngesizathu segciwane iCovid-19. Master nangibuka ngiyathi ukuthi we didn't talk about this prior, it will be a surprise to you, but when you look at pool at the level it is in the country, could we have a pool center, Master? Naubuga tennis center lobambo. So let's say we have a big place where ngashokutsi una close to 16 matter full where activities are playing. Yabo. Is it possible? Can we afford that? Can the association get sponsors to sponsor them with a room where one would say upstairs a light league, lower league downstairs, 15 tables where activities can just be taking place?
Fabrice,
can we afford that?
Ngicela kushona ukuqala. Kunemvo lengisolonga inotice ezichubeka lama league nala season ngakunotice. All the teams anemajezi la brandiwe la brand magama lama teams la brand ma sponsors lama teams la brand sponsors sale league. So ngicabanga ukuthi ngaleyo ndlela leyo
kude lokungena la uticwa team attack
no i-team yakho ama teammates akho ugcoka ijezi lakho nawe ubuka nje ukuthi uyabona uvela ubona ukuthi France Pool Club le uyabona na ungena ubona ngale mbeja le team bonke bophoqeni. So ngicabanga ukuthi idimvo lethu labatende kahle le association
nalama sibambe lesithombe lesumaster. Yes, niyakuva
nalama clubs. So ngicabanga ukuthi kuhamba ngestepis umfana akaveli agijima uqala akhase bese soyasukuma uthatha lawo ma steps kancane kancane. Ipool association abakaqale esikhatsini lesiningi kakhulu ukuthi sikhuluma ngabo 20 years vele basacathuda. So le timvo ukhuluma ngeCenter ngeke ngasho before ngathi vele esikhatsini lesiningi bayadzinga ukuthi babese bayahamba bathola indzawo la batawathi khona ukuthi bayayiona umhlabathi ukhona ke kalobamba lwanika elwanikwa ema sports. So ngicabanga ukuthi nabo if bangakhona ukuthi bahambe bayocela ku sports rec bahambe bayotakhela i-center yapho lapha kalobamba. So ngicabanga ukuthi tonke letinvo leto I want to believe ukuthi le phambili nabaplana sibonile i-strategic plan sayo i-tennis ngicabanga ukuthi nabo bayakhona lapho.
As you look at the pictures, there's a picture I just saw, Master. It was written Potweni Umbucho Pool Club, and I think I want us to talk about it a bit to say this is how some of organizations they take sports at the highest level. And I think I want us to come back on that picture and maybe just to say we've got always this situation where we say Tinvo nasetendwe correction noma RAPC noma nanzaneni, there's always excellence, but I think it comes to order, because now I would see there is a club in football, there's a club now kuruma athletics there's a club now kuruma tennis ikona tennis,
even netball
volleyball basketball napul bakona sitsini ngoba all the time. In all those sporting codes, ladies and gentlemen, 7 sporting codes where one organization
not only has 7.
So sesikhuluma ukuthi even nga shooting bakhona kwanyalo we counted 7. Every time now khuluma ngama top 10 in each sporting codes, the same team is there. Now khuluma ebholeni young Buffaloes ya dominate. Now khuluma athletics UADF ya dominate. Correction, I mean volleyball ya dominate. Now ngiphuli sekhona, they are not doing bad. Sitsini
ngala correctional year leader ngaleso sikhathi.
Yes, ngala correctional year leader. Sitsini nga some of the organization in taking priority when it comes to sports.
I always argue Fabrice na move khuluma more especially ebholeni athi the forces team maningi ama corporates la ngajoyina naku nje sikhuluma ngepool ama league onke lama corporates avumelekile ukuthi angaka i-team yawo atibrandele ahambe ayodlala lapha. So ngicabanga ukuthi nabo kungumgomo wabo siyabona e-correctional by dominator beta kahle futhi, so siyayibona na UEDF nakhona lapho ngicabanga ukuthi kancane sibabonile naka netball baqale bashaka kancane le team yabo yangenti kahle, but bathi tena sebabuya final babuya sebaphakamisile sebakhonile catch up. So ngicabanga ukuthi onke lama companies angafunza something khona kulama force, because bayathi ukuthi ama sports endani kulethi 70 tabo, hence nalethi 70 productive.
Now khuluma nge-correctional mass, I want to believe it's them in green.
Yes.
Their captain Flag Nxumalo uthi nababakhulumisa, yes, time is against us, we need to move on. Captain uthi nababakhulumisa labaphethe le club bathi hambani nende lokwendiwe i-Green Mamba last season. What Green Mamba did was to win the league. Hambani nithathele ngomisha. And so far they're doing well.
And now taba ne facility la ndawo khona kujimela khona la kuthi na cost ama games phinze ibuyela kini le ngicabanga sine advantage. So there is no way labangetana ama excuse ngabo base correctional angisho ukuthi nibafakele pressure nabangawini njalo I competition tabe short ivele I tight, but nangabe batanika I facility baphathi bathi no namatafula jimani na venue edlalani ngicabanga ukuthi
France master
France lapha ngasevula masango.
True.
I home ground yabo leyo eFrance. So ngicabanga ukuthi vele I facility nakhona ya Trutane nase correctional. So ngicabanga ukuthi vele Fabrice onke lamaqembu lawo lana tindzawo la tawukhona khona ama players ahambe practice khona phinze kudlalelo khona bane advantage, because litafula naso lijwayele uyalati ukuthi nangishalo cushion lona ngifuna ibhola kusha cushion ibuye itsinze ibhola yami ngisha kanjani. So ngicabanga ukuthi ngaleyo ndlela leyo bane advantage.
In that, I mean, of course, talking about what was happening over the weekend into the sports of pool. Now, like I mentioned it earlier on, in the month of July, we were given 10 sporting codes to watch them proceeding. For now, in those sporting codes, there were no football, which means until now, most of the football lovers and football players are waiting to see when are they going to be given a green light to proceed with the activities. Now, in the absence of that, soccer players, the well-known so far, are using the new sport in town, tech ball, to boost their fitness. Now, all the way from Bombera United, Figueiredo was joined by the likes of Wanda Flego, Taribo Bembe, just somehow boosting their fitness. Now, I'm in the company at this point in time with the technical director of Tech Ball Master, so technical director Gwanyar. TD, one would say it's a good initiative, because when I spoke to the players personally, Wanda and Figueiredo and Taribo, they mentioned that knowing that this is like mostly a warm-up session you go through in football. So Singasho would see they are playing because they were sweating at some point, or if you look at them. So are you excited as an association? Are you excited? This is one way labadlali bangaba busy khona.
Kwaqala Fabrice singasho ukuthi lebekudlalwa ngeweekend on Sunday, it was a tech Sunday, kune program ka tech ball ukuthi ngalama Sundays kuna nakulekta kuthiwa tech Sunday bekusolo ke kudlalwa internally in fact bekuchekwa ne program yaka 0 to hero for the past 3 weeks kuvulwe ema sports bekuchekwa nayo kuthiwa kusitwa naba laba ngakaze badlala nje ibhola awubaqala phasi ubayise eTulu bekunathuke wema members association labeka train kule 0 to hero program. So ngeweekend kube sesekusukuma yona ke kubuya yona because yakadlala before uyakhumbula kumenywe bo Hladla Maphanga Phathizwe Msibi nawe one day wathuta wuta ema office na tech ball bekuchubeka yona ke le tech Sunday badlali bebhola sibabonile bathatha I part of I tech Sunday sikhuluma nga Justice Figueiredo
who's in the country already. That's him.
Yes, lokhona la even na Wanda Dlego semathi umdlalo mbona solos Wanda Dlego. So ngicabanga ukuthi bebangenele yona I tech Sunday. Now
maybe just to joke a bit for the viewer, these two players, I can see Taribo and Wanda playing against Figueiredo and another. When I got there's a name they had team because there were two teams. There was Taribo and Wanda.
At some point in time, they were winning. Basibenda leyo celebration leyo yabantu labathala bomadara There was a guy who was just
watching from far.
Watching
So athi Taribo nawanda
labo matara abadliwe.
Asesibabona bomatara because there's one thing maybe I want to pick it to say it's a good initiative mostly now ubuka ukuthi vele football imisiwe kwanyaka. Yes, but then we did we look at them take a look at their pictures again, but we did get a chance to hear how the sport is assisting them. This is Wanda, this is Justice Figueroa, and of course Terrible Bembe speaking to our production team on how they are using tech ball as a fitness sport.
Cool, especially the technique. Yeah, most of the time to look at agility,
kwanyaka singasho ukuthi we don't know when the body itawubuye, but are you saying ukuthi doctor usebenzise ithuba lokudlala i-tech ball ukuthi unyuse fitness yakho?
Yeah, most definitely. Labo qhubeka ngale tech ball. Ngenza ngijimele. Yeah. I still keep myself fit ngabo tech ball.
Lokunye maybe lesingakuthenza ngokuthi chances are nakubuya le bhola kungendeka kube i-national team. Nangabe bayakutsinza yini in terms of i-call. Uready kanganani ukuthi ungaphindze uyidlalele KCB?
National team. Okay, ngabe bangibetile it's fine bangibetile, but then personally mina ngifila ngathi like they should include the youngsters ku national team. So babe nesikhathi sabo with the national team and enjoy the moment. Ngathi mina hayi sengidlalile kwanele ngivulela abafana labancane.
Okay.
I-tech ball isita kakhulu ukuthi skip active nganokhona ugena ne-weight. Because I started to start wearing nebhola ngicabanga ukuthi iyasita kakhulu. Singagain weight because iyafayina sagaining weight, so kufanele sizame ukumaintain all the time. And uhlala ekhaya ungenelutho sometimes iyabhora kanti most of the time that tech ball practicing every time. Yeah.
Now, those two players, of course, they are well known in the kingdom of Eswatini, Figueroa and of course Wanda Hlego. But see, it's one way, of course, to keep the body fit, master, and in terms of size and gain and everything. And Wanda, at some point, it's very interesting. Would say, a very good national team. So because not to say umadala, but it's a chance for young players also to be explored. But that's for another day. Tech ball, of course, being used as a sport for fitness. Quite interesting, master.
Oh yes, Fabrice, about sisibonile our two local players yena Justice Figueroa naye Wanda Hlego badlala tech ball bajima. Ngicabanga ukuthi tech ball sike saveta before ukuthi improve the technique kakhulu. Wanda kube sesothinza indzaba lenkulu kakhulu. I'm impressed nangeva senior player khuluma ngabo agility because idinvo tonke leto letinakhuza ka coaching bakutshela ngeagility bakutshela ngabo technique. So ngicabanga ukuthi vele then wabuya ke Figueroa khuluma ngephysique ukuthi kumele ba maintain shape. So ngicabanga ukuthi letinvo leto i-tech ball siyakhumbula ukuthi sport lesinikwe imvumo ukuthi sichubeke sidlale. So lokhu ibhola isesengekho but awuchubeka abadlale. Ngivileke lo munye khuluma jokingly athi kungendeka yena vele ibhola agcina ayiyekele mbamba adlala.
Ngiyabona la in white outfit, pants and a cape. Kahle la ubuke ini as what are you trying to get from labadlali azume ngala ekhoneni?
Referee benging referee
nokubafundisa imithetho le.
Yes, imithetho ya le sport
leminye ke besta kusha kancane ngale mithetho
uyayadi but nangabe afuna ukudoja utakudoja udzinga ukuthi wena as a referee ube strong. Badlali ke vele Fabrice ngicabanga all ama soccer players akanjalo nje vele afune kufaka ekoneni bo referee. So udzinga ukuthi lama referees abe strong kakhulu. So ngicabanga nje ukuthi nangala ka tech ball udzinga ukuthi labo referee anyone ofuna kuba ngirafera ka tech ball umukelekile ahamba ayofunza utayifunza nale mithetho afunze nale sport. So ngicabanga ukuthi lama players nje la sakhona nyalo Figueroa suthi mbonile usoyayati imithetho. Wanda nayo usheshwa ibamba imithetho. Felix at some point in time naye wafika ambassador ya tech ball soyayati imithetho. So ngicabanga nje ukuthi kancane ema players bengisho eFabrice ukuthi lo munye obadlali ushilo ukuthi yena kungendeka vele ibhola agcina ayekele because akayitholi i-chance ekudlala World Cup, akayitholi i-chance ekudlala ku-AFCON. So i-techball itamthatha imise kuma-Olympics ngendeka imthatha
kusho lo mdlali ungasibekela yena igama lo mdlali.
No ngeke ngikhuluma because i-team yakhe itabese between the two batabese baba nenkinga because ushilo wathi ngendeka ima-Olympics ngendeka ye-World Cup ngendeka aye kuma-African champs ayo i-techball.
Because it part of the rule vele it's issues of confidentiality. Awusafuna kuma-expose lo mdlalo lona.
Fabrice uyathi ukuthi no journalist ever reveals his sources. Nangida ukhuluma nje uthi ngive ngabani bese ngikutshela leli gama lo muntu lo akayuphinze angitshele never.
It's a reliable source as usual. Now, I have one question, Master, because producer wants us to move on international updates. But maybe I don't want to talk about the career, but Sibonira about a few months ago celebrated 40 years and everything. Would you now switch from football to take ball? Noma unanga kweminyaka. Okay, is it possible? In terms of the future of any soccer player, can you leave football and go to play tech ball and represent the country?
Fabrice, tech ball it's idlalwa noma ngibani. Umncane, umdzala noma ubuna 70 years. Nawufuna ukudlala tech ball. Noma
ngamelela leave foot.
Yes. Ngalimelela live. Now if you're good then uyahamba umelela live. Then ngicabanga ukuthi le program le bengisho yaka 0 to hero ngiyo le khuluma ngaloko ukuthi anyone lo fisa ukudlala ibhola ukhuluma ngaWanda siyamathi ukuthi over 20 years
adlala ucala umathi nini Wanda wena mase
Gege Happy Stars
webonanga kweminyaka sika
I was young, very young. Fabrice, I'm young.
True.
Nanyalo. So ngicabanga ukuthi yena Wanda ngimbukelile. Nakahamba nje eSouth Africa ayodlalela amaqemba angaphandle ngicabanga ukuthi vele icareer yakhe ngase ngiyayilandzela kakhulu ku national team atabokho safa ngicabanga ukuthi is one player lobe consistent lobe discipline kakhulu ku career yakhe wayithatha ibhola professionally ngicabanga ukuthi nama youngsters atafunza lokunengi and naye kushilo vele wathi unama plans lamathe kakhulu ku tech ball.
A lot to talk about our own heroes in the kingdom of Eswatini. Players like Wanda Nhlego, Samba Tribe have a lot to share with the youngsters of this kingdom of Eswatini. A lot is expected, of course, from them as you look at him on the screen. He was part of the weekend activities when you talk about tech ball. When you know him, you know that he's dedicated. Where his future holds now, we don't know. We might know anytime soon. Otherwise, internationally, we begin what was happening in tennis. Master, it's the page, international page, which one we also like.
Yeah, the quarter flex.
Yes.
This
is quarter flex. Yes.
Yes, it's possible. Kuthola yes. Ngicabanga ukuthi i-tennis association ingadzinga ukuthi vele but ikushaya emakhikini kakhulu.
Uyayivala kasocitsile.
Yes. Uyafika kuyahlukana ke Fabrice kukhona lo kuhamba ngale tikwele like ama tiles. Ufika ukudlalela phasi then nasocedzile ukusebenzisa phinze ukhokhe uhambe nako uhambe uyobeka kulenye indzawo. So ngicabanga ukuthi it's possible nalakithi ukuthi sibe nako because uyadlala i-tennis njengoba ngishilo lokunye uyadlala i-volleyball lokunye uyadlala i-basketball. So nalakithi njengoba ngishilo ukuthi if bafuna ukumixa le sport bangeke babe ne permanent courts yonke lendzawo but bangakuthola lokho.
They have it talking about innovation at its base. Of course, that was brought to you by Linda Lamin, aka Master, the local analyst. Now, talking about internationally, it might have been a laughing matter to many in the international platform, especially those who read that on the internet. But for those who are in the Republic of Egypt, specifically in Cairo, they will tell you it was a serious matter, finding out the AFCON trophy is missing. Master, how is the trophy missing? People are laughing, but it's a serious matter.
It's a serious matter, Fabrice. Siyakhumbula ukuthi yona AFCON trophy vele ibita timali mbamba because yakhiwe ngeligolide. Yes, so ilahlekile ke Fabrice Friday isengatholakala isengatiwa ukuthi ikuphi. Siyathi ukuthi Egypt i-headquarters ima office aka CAF.
So khuluma nge Zurich for FIFA
for CAF it's Cairo khona Egypt. Inyamalele ke inkomishi AFCON sethemba kodwa ukuthi ngiyo le nkomishi
futhi ngeke bathi iyasinza le nkomishi master.
Iyasinza njengoba ngisho ukuthi ineligolide lihamba lifike ku certain percentage. So vele ungacabanga ukuthi lalaba ebile bafuna ukuyodakhela imali hayi kudlala ngenteka ukhuluma ngama millions of US dollars.
And for sure nasesebayithetha it won't be sold in that manner. They have to cut the pieces and sold in pieces.
Yeah, ngicabanga ukuthi vele ukuthi ngabe njalo but siyethemba ukuthi itawutholakala yona iAFCON trophy kungesimali ngamangaki bangayoni futhi.
Uphenyo liyachubeka master ngathi it was somewhere then when they were taking other stuff then they realized something of a high precious then they had to take it.
Asethembe nje ukuthi mhlambe bamvula bafuna ukusiphakamisela boshukela itaphenzi ibuye yona i-trophy. Siyakhumbula ukuthi i-Egypt ikayiwina ke emahlandla lamathathu kulandzelana. The first team ever, the first national team ever kwenda kanjalo kuwina iAFCON emahlandla lamathathu. Siyakhumbula ukuthi 2006 nabayihostile bashaya Ivory Coast kuma finals. 2008 bashaya iGhana kuma finals. 2010 bayiphakamisa. So ngicabanga ukuthi le generation leyo yabo Abotrika ivele kube golden generation yakho Egypt.
There you have it. Linda Dlamini talking about an international page. His happy place, his happy moment. Now, another moment that shocked many, it's in tennis, US Open. The Serbian Novak Djokovic is out. He's pleading, please, I'm sorry. He hit a judge with a ball. Now he's disqualified.
Yes, Navan Djokovic from Serbia, the number one tennis player, ususpendiwe, disqualify yile ngekushaya li judge akalishaya ke mabomu be mistake.
Yes. But don't you think maybe because these are things that normally they make news for other reasons, but when you look at maybe we don't know the heaviness of the ball, but if you look at how he swinged it wasn't that heavy, but apparently the way it hit the throat master
now tawushaya noma ngayini Fabrice kakhulu emphinjeni ungagathi kubhlungu. So vele lo mthetho, in fact lo mthetho waka tennis awuvumi vele lokho kwendeke kanjalo ukushaya le judge. So ngicabanga ukuthi naye and sekunikeke labasele ukuthi bayiwine because for the first time in 15 years akekho yena Novak Djokovic kuma semi final, akekho Rafael Nadal, akekho Roger Federer, akekho Andy Murray. For the first time in 15 years those four guys abekho kuma semi final US Open. So it's a chance for the youngsters ukuthi batwine ijikwe emoyeni nangasho kanjalo yona US Open nangayibeka kanjalo because nangale kubotsatse akekho Serena Williams.
Yeah, there's a name that is dominating, Johanna Konta. I think singasho ukuthi
ngicabanga ukuthi vele inyalo sayifavor yena ukuthi asale ayiphakamisa iUS Open. So ngicabanga nje ukuthi Fabrice US Open ihambe kanjalo seyijikwe emoyeni both males and females.
Sahamba master wathembisa ma loyal viewers ukuthi tawachanga indzaba yemiss sekudecide.
Oh yes, Fabrice ngasho ngathi within a space of a month lokusho ukuthi emalangeni lang 30 sithembisile kuphela only 2 weeks sasho ukuthi sitawubuya nendzaba ya Lionel Messi, sisho ukuthi itsini i-future yakhe isidecidiwe ke namuhla bekabuyile eGymini for the first time since acela ulishiya licembu leBarcelona yena Messi.
What opinion yakho master, ubuka ngathi it was a good decision noma hayi bekufanele hambe?
It was a good decision ukuthi ahlale cause ngenteka aye kulinye iclub afike angaperform kanjalo bese some of letinvo lat achievile kuBarcelona tiyakhohlekwa but inyalo uchubeka kuBarcelona utawuchubeka dominate because siyathi Barcelona it is happy place nangabeka kanjalo so ngicabanga nje ukuthi lo advise kahle ukuthi achubeke adlalele yona licembu leBarcelona.
There you have it. That is Linda Lamine. Of course, at this point in time, I think he's wishing to talk about the new transfers of Arsenal with Michael Arteta, but time is against us. My producer, of course, is reminding me that this is not the only program that plays on Eswatini TV. Sikubongela kakhulu Dlamini. Time is against us. I only want to say something, but please, in the interest of time, ngakunika why uvalelisa ungasho something but uvalelisa.
Fabrice ngiyabonga ngifuna nje ukuthi congratulations go Mamelodi Sundowns ngekuwina ileague yes10 akusiko 3 in a row so but ke lokho sitakhuluma kahle ngalesine I want to believe sitakuteka ngalesine.
Why ufuna ukuteka ngalesine khona lo ngafune ukuthi Sundowns iwine noma
no mhla ka10 Fabrice ku August bekusele 4 ama games ngasho ngathi Mamelodi Sundowns ngiyinika le nkomishi
washo la emoyeni
yes sekwendekile so ngicabanga ukuthi Thursday sitayithola leyo clip leyo lencane ndawucela ngisatocela producer.
Wow. Not only is he a guy with reliable sources, but he is also a reliable analyst. That is Linda Lamine. Otherwise, for being with us, we do say that it was a lovely moment. Me and him, we are saying good night. Sidlala kamnanzi.
Ngitiva ngijabule kakhulu Taribo kuwina. After a long time ngagcina kuyiwina le nkomishi lena, it makes me feel very good.